Okay. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How you doing? Four asteroids just missed us. Okay. Is that real? Extra bola. Yeah, we talked about the Earth's core reversing its spin. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Obsolete Optics, thank you. Starting out the show with a super chat. I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know. The thumbnail and the title of the show kind of about scientific skepticism versus confirmations, and right, there are times when we should be skeptical, and there's times when we, a trend line looks pretty freaking obvious, right? Like, all the unexplained people passing away from heart attacks, unexplained, right? And the blood clots and the right, all that stuff happening is a trend line, which looks pretty overwhelming, which actually confirms that something is going on. Same with climate change, right? There is a trend line. There is a trend line in temperature. There's a trend line in extreme weather events. There's a trend line in melting ice. There's something going on. So, skepticism is absolutely necessary in science. Can you all hear me? Because it is part of the scientific process. But then there's a time when skepticism is silliness, right? Where it's like you have this massive trend line, right? You have all these correlations and all these things that are, the dots are connected, and you're like, nope, I don't know what's going on, right? And that's when skepticism is actually is not helpful, right? Because you're actually trying to throw dirt or disparage something that is clearly obvious that people should take notice of and act on, right? And act on. That's the thing. It should be, some things should be noted, acknowledged, acted upon, right? And when you have this massive trend line, this massive amount of data and evidence that are all stacking up together, that makes a picture, forming a picture, right? That's the time when skepticism is like, you can't see this picture? Well, then you're just being, you're just being silly. You're being like intentionally stupid, in order to go, oh, I don't know. I can't see it. What? Show me more. Where's your evidence? Right? There are times when show me evidence is like, dude, all the evidence is right there. You're intentionally not looking at the evidence. So I don't know what to tell you. Clayton Halligan says, I can remember when liberals were skeptical of Big Pharma. Oh, yeah. Well, actual liberals are skeptical of Big Pharma. The liberals now are not liberal anymore. They're people, they're right wingers who don't even know that they're right wingers, right? They don't even know, they can't even recognize themselves because they've moved into another space. Which is, whatever people tell me to say and think, I'll go ahead and do that. Because, my crowd or my team is on this side. Anyways, um, yeah. So just quickly, good way to support the channel is buymeacoffee.com, Black Bear News, Patreon also. All these links are down below. Rockfin tips are greatly appreciated. YouTube tips, greatly appreciated. All these things. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes, and I'll also be on Extra Bola tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I may actually play some music on this show. Stay tuned. Bobby Davis is the head of BP said today that we need to ramp up fossil fuels over the next 30 years. Whatever could be the reason. Did you happen to link that to me, Poppy? That's funny. Dr. Phil says socialism doesn't work. Bread and Circuses came up under and said, Dr. Phil, also not a doctor. Or I can find it, Poppy. If you didn't link it, that's cool. Let's look at that. I mean, I also heard today Jordan Peterson talking about, I guess he was on Joe Rogan saying we need to get, we need an answer to the WEF, and which is, actually not a bad idea. I don't, yes, I got you. TCR, I got you. It's not a bad idea to organize people around opposition to something that you don't like. I don't see the issue with that. I didn't actually have time to fully Bill Nye the Science Guy, not a scientist, right? I didn't have time to fully really listen to this Jordan Peterson. I'm going to check it out and see what he says because it sounds interesting to me. Trying to find it. BP says demand for oil and gas will drop dramatically by 2050 in decisive shift. Is this the article? This looks like something different. Oh, okay. Is this so overall demand for electricity will surge both because emerging economies will demand more electricity and because efforts to mitigate global warming will accelerate. Ooh, this is chunky. Yes, indeed. Everyone like the video, please. Like the video. Anyways, right. The demand for more electricity because of emerging economies, yes. Efforts to mitigate global warming will accelerate demand for purposes such as transportation and heating and cooling buildings. In all of the scenarios BP mapped out, electricity demand will increase by 75%. Wow, by 2050. We should live so long. So they're predicting demand for electricity is going to increase by almost double. Yeah. Black Karen, that's good. That's your new band name, Black Karen. That's good. Um, yeah, I mean that's probably going to happen, right? Meeting the changing needs of global energy demand will require scaling up of carbon capture technology, wind and solar facilities, batteries, hydrogen, CO2 pipelines, and new energy storage capacities. All of this will increase demand for minerals like lithium, copper, and nickel. And we're going to need fossil fuels to supply that demand, right? Yeah, this whole mitigating global warming thing, I don't think it's going to happen because these people have the dumb idea about it, right? These people think like, well, human beings will have to be prioritized while the Earth collapses, while the biosphere collapses, humans will have to prioritize their standard of living in an effort to change their standard of living, right? To shift it into something that's less destructive to the planet. So we have something going this way, something going, I don't know, I can't get something going this way. This is global warming. We have something going this way. No, global warming is this way. Okay, something going this way. You know what I'm saying. We have the biosphere going down, and we have demand for human beings, human exceptionalism going up. So that's going to work out totally. That's totally going to work out. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. All right. I could have just read this bullet point up here, which was the share of fossil fuels as primary energy source will fall from 80% in 2019 to between 55 and 20% by 2050, while renewables share will grow from 10% to between 35% and 65%. Oh, okay, that's, well, over the same period. This isn't the same article you were talking about, is it, Poppy? Yeah, I think our only chance, if we have one, is to unsubscribe from the current path that we're on. Unsubscribe from industrial, civilization as we know it, from rampant consumerism as we know it. Unsubscribe, meaning, if a lot of people all together said, you know what, we're all gonna go towards living like the Amish. I don't mean we're gonna all believe in the Amish, the Amish God, or we're not all gonna. But I'm just saying, go in that direction. If of a bunch of people, millions of people all over the world were like, you know what, we're just not going to the stores. We're not going to Target anymore. We're going to grow our own food. We're going to, communally try and build out, some permaculture areas. Yes, we're going to really try and limit our having the babies. We're going to discourage people from having 6 kids. Like, look, man, have a kid, 1 or 2. All right, that's cool. But all the people that are like, I want 6 kids, 8 kids, maybe not. Maybe discourage people from doing that. Stuff like that. Things like that. That would be the best possible path to disengage. To maybe trying to drive your car, less and less and less, and then give it up altogether. Things like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's even going to work. Wow. Yeah, I know. But it's cool, the universe has a way of laughing at the best laid plans anyways. Right? Denver says, how the Mormons handled COVID, doctors injected population with saline. Okay. How the Amish handled COVID, told the government metaphorically to F off. Yeah. Well, let's look at this article. I know I'm just spending a lot of time kind of. This is interesting. This is from Poppy. Faster than expected, why most climate scientists can't tell the truth in public. One of the cliches of climate change reporting is climate scientists claiming to be surprised, shocked, or baffled by extreme events. Happening so much faster than predicted by their models and faster than expected. This is a good picture. I can definitely attest to being unnerved by some of our findings. Right. That is. The scientific answer to to this massive trend line of horrific events happening all over the planet, right? All the findings and all the data point to the, something massively going on Earth, and even the scientists are like, well, that is very interesting, right? There's no if we put everything together on this trend line, maybe we should all be really concerned. These consistent underestimations are often explained by their cautious approach, which sounds reasonable until you realize this has led the International Panel on Climate Change, whose role is to advise humanity on the seriousness of the climate crisis, to get their advice consistently wrong. Which is true, if you're paying attention. This is true. COP27 reinforced this problem when, as ever, the IPCC based their warnings exclusively on a synthesis of climate scientists' reports that they knew underdetermined, both what's already happening and the speed of catastrophic future change. Okay, I'm going to read that again. COP27 reinforced this problem when, as ever, the IPCC based their warnings exclusively on a synthesis of climate scientists' reports that they knew underdetermined, right? So they based their findings on reports that were very optimistic, or maybe not as didn't carry the full weight of the data. This means most people, including those in power and in the media, genuinely don't know how desperate things already are, and that is the conspiracy theory. One more time, of climate change. That's a conspiracy theory. It's not that it's a hoax. It's that it's really, really horrifically bad, and nobody knows how bad it is, and they're just walking around going like, I think everything's going to be fine. We just had a snowstorm, right? Nobody is being alerted properly to the issue. That's the conspiracy. People know it's bad, but not how bad. This gap in understanding remains wide enough for denialists and minimizers to legitimize inadequate action under the camouflage of empty eco-jargon and false optimism. This gap allows nations, corporations, and individuals to remain distracted by short-term crises, which, however serious, pale into insignificance compared with the unprecedented threat of climate change. Alongside those vested interests who minimize climate change assessments, underestimates by scientists have potentially devastating consequences for humanity's efforts to react to this threat to our survival. You don't need to be a scientist to know that misjudging the seriousness of a situation compromises any response. This article explains why traditional climate science methods cannot keep up with rapid change. It provides an analysis of the psychological defenses. This is really long, so I probably can't read the whole thing, but I'm just giving you an overview. psychological defenses that prevent most climate scientists from admitting this in public when unofficially they all do and say they are afraid. In conclusion, we consider how scientists can overcome this irrational position for the good of us all. All right. I've read, I don't know how many articles I've read that are, say, essentially the same thing. TCR says, additionally, Kevin, climate is a symptom of overshoot, another huge part of the conspiracy. Sure. Although, I don't know. It's hand in hand, right? We are in overshoot because we are capable of being in overshoot, right? Because technology has allowed us to, industrial civilization and overshoot go hand in hand. Industrial civilization allows overshoot to happen, right? If we were living in a much more simple way, on a lower technological time frame or scale, we probably wouldn't be able to do the overshoot, right? Because people wouldn't be able to afford to have all the kids, right? Or people wouldn't be living as long, or people wouldn't have all the medical care, right? All the reasons why there is overshoot is because our civilization allows it to continue. It keeps giving it resources. Here, have some more of this. We have all this technology. Now we can get all the food. Now we can get all the energy. Have some more of this. And people are like, well, okay. Thanks. I know, that's an extremely anti-human thing to say, right? Oh my God. You mean let nature take its course? Let people live regular ass lives, where they're happy and there's good times. There's bad times. There's life and there's death. There's sickness and there's health, right? Let people experience these things in life. The full spectrum of life. Anyways. How wrong are climate scientists? The list of new climate phenomena, and we're all going to experience the spectrum of life, like, pretty soon, right? Because nature is going to go, yeah, guys, I know you had plans and stuff, but this is how it's going to go. I'm sorry. And we're all going to be like, what do you mean? You mean we're going to be forced to live in balance with nature by nature? I don't know. That's probably how that's going to go. Anyways, the list of new climate phenomena and related extreme events that surprise climate scientists is endless because it literally grows by the day. This statement of fact is not doomist or disputed by anyone serious, including scientists themselves. Roger Harabin, the BBC's environment and energy correspondent, recently confessed he is scared because he has listened for years to scientists telling him things were far worse than they could say officially, and this is evident in today's climate extremes. Again, this is the evidence of the conspiracy to keep the severity of the problem under wraps. The people that, like pop up on BBC or MSNBC or CNN and say like, oh, this climate change is just a hoax, right? And and people are like, ha, look it, he gave up the game. No, dude. Those people are put there on purpose. They know what they were going to say before they got on the show. That they're put there, they're funded by fossil fuel people, again, to keep you in the dark about what is really happening on the planet. Right? Who has more money than God? Everybody else. That's called the fossil fuel industry. They have more money than anybody else on the planet. They are the biggest, they pretty much have everything locked up. Fossil fuels. Right? And they also have your information, your acceptance or disinformation or misinformation locked up. Right? They're the ones that are, the guys just pop up on CNN going, this climate change is a bunch of hooey. People are like, yeah. It's silly. The unprecedented 40 C plus temperatures of 2022's UK and French heat waves that provoked Haribin's disclosure were forecast in 2019 to occur sometime after 2050, right? This is again. By the modeling of the National Meteorological Organizations. Multiple UK locations then saw 40 C in 2022, while elsewhere in Europe they got closer to 50 C. This led Professor Hannah Cloak of the University of Reading to admit, even as a climate scientist, this is scary. More unusually public, panicked-sounding comments from scientists followed because these unprecedented extremes in Europe undoubtedly caused, they knew by humanity's impact on the climate were also experienced across the entire northern hemisphere, not least China, which suffered the worst drought in human history in vast areas of western USA. These, plus epic and terrible related events like extremes of drought in the Horn of Africa, floods in Pakistan covering an area the size of the UK, Australia, and Niger, heat waves in India and Argentina, and many others, were not anticipated anything like this soon by climate science models. This is a strangely worded essay, I'm sorry. It's hard to read because it's weird, you know, sometimes people write, the way people write, it's very difficult to read it out loud because they write in a strange, they put words together strangely, and other people write in a way that you just reads, it rolls right off the tongue. Just a message to writers everywhere. Think about, read it out loud and tell me how weird it sounds. Okay, or think about how weird it sounds. Worse, this was nothing new. Recent history records an accelerating number of similar phenomena, including the 2021 heat domes in British Columbia and elsewhere predicted to occur only every 10 years after average global temperature increased by 2 C, i.e. again sometime after 2050. These led Michael Mann, a go-to climate scientist commentator, to state the climate models were wrong. But don't you be a doomer. Don't you dare be a doomer. That's what Michael Mann says. Don't you dare. You're something like a conspiracy theorist if you're talking the doom stuff. That's what Michael Mann said. So the answer to the question, how wrong are climate scientists, is disastrously. The fact is no mainstream research paper or climate model predicted where we are now. We are now in a place where we were supposed to be in 2050 or 2060. And some people even thought 2100. So we're way ahead of schedule. And then in 5 or 10 years, we will be way more ahead of schedule. and people are being like, I don't know what's happening. I think it's aliens. Yeah, that's it. Alien geoengineering. I think that's what it is. These peer-reviewed methods cannot keep up in a time of rapid climate change because they take years from proposal to publication, right? All right. John McPherson has talked about this. By the time something gets peer-reviewed and published, it's already old news, right? It's already old data. That's how fast things are changing. 2, must limit themselves to the consideration of fragments of the climate system to satisfy the high statistical standards of certainty required. 3, don't include known variables such as methane when measurement is problematic. These are allocated 0 values, which works for the maths, but not for real life. 4, cannot make provision for variables they know must be significant, but cannot say so scientifically yet, including many feedback loops. 5, cannot coordinate well with other equally limited studies. 6, cannot consider the whole planetary system or usually even major system components. 7, were designed for the study of nature's usual long-term, thousands, millions of years pace of climate change, not the unprecedented speed of anthropogenic change. The IPCC rely exclusively on data they synthesize from scientific papers and models, complying with these methods to tell humanity what is happening, though they know these are flawed for this purpose. They will not consider better data until a scientist has referred to this using the same process. In addition, they use a consensus filter. This disregards outlier results, so those few studies that sound more realistic alarms sound more realistic alarms are discounted. All this is compounded by the IPCC's mind-bogglingly complicated 7-year review and reporting structure. Maybe I'm just a bad reader. I don't know. I have considered the fact that maybe I'm just a bad reader, but I don't know. You guys are following along, right? You guys got it? I don't know. Maybe I will read most of this article. It's pretty good. I wanted to read something else, but maybe I'll save this something else for Extra Bulla tonight. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting article about anti-vaxxers and vaxxers. I don't know if we're going to get to it. Well, let's take a break since we're already well into the show. I'm checking up on the coffees. If you want to, you can send me a coffee and leave me a note, which I'll read. I promise, if I get it in time. Same with Rockfin Tips, et cetera, et cetera. I've got a couple people that want to call in. Guys, all right. Well, I'll take these calls. I want to try and get back to this article, but I'll take... Oh, I've got a lot of people that want to call in. Shoot. All right, I guess I'm taking calls. What's up, William? How you doing?
You pushed all our buttons, brother. We gotta talk.
Say what? Oh, shoot. Hold on. Now I've got the other problem where I got rid of the buzz, but I can't hear the people. Hold on, William.
Check.
I need the buzz back in order to get the people on. Hold on.
All right. We need the buzz.
Are you there? Can you say something?
Can you hear me? Check.
Oh, shoot. This sucks. Hold on.
All right. I'm not going anywhere.
I was all ready to take calls, and then whammo.
Ammo.
Hold on.
Yep, that's cool. Joseph and... Oh, man, Breed Love is making his first call. I can't wait to hear him. And Joseph, how you doing, Joseph?
Oh, cool. I got you. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, we got some good callers lining up, man. So I'll be brief as I can. You know, Kevin, right? Do we need to, like, rattle all these people's brains, you know? The oil industry's been talking about the global warming issue themselves since when? The early, mid-50s, their own internal reports that come out. Yeah. And not to mention... all we got to do is look at Dozinger, Chevron, Texaco, Nigeria, fracking, oil pipeline fractures. I mean, this shit pollutes the hell out of this planet and poisons groundwater and freshwater bodies and our food and petrochemical products sprayed everywhere. You know, man, we're just addicted to this stuff. Are they determined to kill us? Is this a master plan? I don't know. We're like bugs. We're going to be eating bugs. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well,
you know,
if this is a plan, this is a dumb plan, right? You know, I mean, I've heard people propose like, well, this is all, if this is a long-term plan to like poison the planet, kill off all the people, and then they'll take over. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? Because you can't turn this, you cannot turn this around. You can't turn this around, right? All that easily. Did I lose you? Are you there?
No, I'm hearing you. I'm letting you. Go.
I just, the amount of momentum, right, that it takes to actually change the Earth's climate into another kind of climate, into another climate, state of climate, is the amount of energy is massive, right? And that amount of energy, it has, this has been going on for decades, right? So you have decades of this massive energy shift. That's what it is. It's just basically a shift in energy, and it took a lot of energy that we produced in order to foster this energy shift. And you can't just stop that on a dime. You can't turn that around. So it's just like, if that really is the plan of the elites, it's a dumb plan. And two, I don't think the elites are really all that together, right? I really don't think they're that together. I mean, I feel seriously, these people just do stuff, I mean, my guess, and I think that I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Is that short-term profits, were always the goal, right? Like just how much can we scrape out of the earth and sell it to other people for for the highest amount of money, and how rich can we get, as quickly as possible. Like that was it. That's been the design for the last century, or more, right? How quickly can we scoop up all the stuff and sell it to other people for 10 times the cost of scooping up the stuff, which is really fossil fuels, right? ROI, or energy return on investment. How quickly can we suck up all this stuff and sell it to people for 10 times the amount we scooped it up for? That's been the goal, right? That's been just the modus operandi of corporations and humanity for the last 100 years, and what the fallout from that is climate change. That's not like, guess what we'll do? We'll do this, and we'll destroy the earth, and then we'll just turn it around with our with all that extra energy we have. That is, I just can't actually give the people in control that much credit that they actually thought that one out. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, hey, they do believe in transhumanism, and they're going to put themselves in the cryonic state, and then somehow in the future implant the downloaded brain technology into the body. I don't know. The one thing. Let me just say and let you go. I hear you, but if you were to draw up a master plan on how to totally fuck up the world, they've sure managed to pull it off, haven't they? You know what I mean? And then now what?
The idea to join with computers and upload our consciousness is also a really dumb plan, but
right.
And I just don't even think we're going to get there, right? We've hopefully, and this is a weird thing to hope for, or luckily, or as it turns out, nature has other plans for us. Right? And the universe or nature, or I don't know what you want to call it, is going to save us from ourselves, and on some level is going to save the rest, save the possibility of life continuing on this planet into the future. Is going to save the earth for somebody else, not us, right? Because they're going to be like, yeah, not so fast. Nature's going to be like, not so fast, guys. I know you have these plans and you think you're smart and you got it figured out, but not really. Not really, because anyways.
Let me just ask you something. When you read the World Economic Forum site and you see their videos, what goes through your mind? Like, what are they do? This is bizarro. It's like Rod Serling all over again. I mean, what do you think they're doing this? Just I don't know what else to say. Like, other than I read that stuff and I watch their videos, I'm like, they're a bunch of freaks. And what sure seem to be coordinating their efforts,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for sure. I don't. They're not really living on the same planet.
That's it.
Or plane than we all are with the rest of the world. But
I believe in that evil force, man. We got to fight it with good. That's all I can say. We got to keep talking, keep fighting them.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, William. I'm gonna try and take these other calls before it gets
absolutely.
Late but I
look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. All right, Joseph, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm all right.
And William, right back at you. I real quick on Guy McPherson and the article you're reading. I'm not picking on just Guy McPherson because this is systemic, so I want to make that clear.
Okay.
This is academics driven by statistical analysis rather than first principles. And for him to say that, if you listen to it, well, the models, this is from things happening so fast that the data can't keep up. Well, that's based on the models that are supposed to be projecting a predictive future based on what they understand of the climate system. So they're excusing not just him, they're all kind of excusing it without finding out what the missing parameters are that aren't worked into the models.
Right.
And that's not being stated. And that's really rooted in thermal mass and CO2 being identified as the single most important thing to follow. And as long as they keep doing that, you're always going to miss all the stuff that you see civilization being built from. And
Yes.
that's a lot of thermal mass.
Yes. Yes. The move. Well, that's part of the energy, right? The energy shift.
Absolutely. And it's accelerated continuously by milligram, milligram for atom. The acceleration added, in other words, the energy it took to move it and apply it is ongoing, at least the moving part.
Hmm.
That's what, like, you see it, it seems invisible and innocuous, but when you're driving down the road, notice how often the potholes get fixed, or the road gets re-leveled, or the bridge gets repaired, or the high tension wires get repaired, etc., etc.,
Oh
etc.
yeah.
Right. That's because the system at writ large is gravimetrically designed to layer everything like the oceans, right? By density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah. I mean,
it's
that's the evil of infrastructure is that it's not the infrastructure itself is damaging to the planet, but you also the maintenance of the infrastructure. Like you need so much energy to actually just keep everything going. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
And
the
it's
more the
all
bigger the ball gets, the more energy it takes to keep spinning the ball on some levels. I mean,
absolutely. And what you said next, you were talking about making all the high tech and more complex systems take more of that energy to maintain and repair, and it's all invisible to most of the people using it, more and more so. And and if you think about thermodynamics, the more complex the system, the more heat you're producing. And nature works in reverse in many ways. The more complex a biosystem is, as far as multiple organisms per
yes.
cubic meter, the more thermodynamically conserving they are. They use each calorie multiple times of
Mm,
energy. And that should be in those models, in my humble opinion,
sure.
in some way. But
Yeah,
that's
that's like
extreme.
that's yeah. I mean, and that's part of the feedback loop, right? Like I heard
Absolutely.
an interesting feedback loop yesterday, a red one about the glaciers in Antarctica because they are being melted from underneath, right? Like there's more meltwater on top of the glaciers, so the meltwater is draining down to the bottom of the glaciers, allowing the glaciers to slide on the rock that they formerly were frozen to, like slide, down.
Yes.
And this sliding in and of itself creates heat. Creates actually a
Yes.
massive amount of heat. It's a lot of heat, right? So
Because it's billions of tons. Yeah.
billions of tons of ice scraping on the rock creates even more heat, and that's part of the whole the feedback loop, right? And so that creates more
Absolutely.
melting and creates more heat and creates more melting, creates more heat, right? So it's like, oh shit.
Keeping the oceans
Oh,
stratified the way they're going
yeah.
takes more energy to do. It we keep, I mean, in other words, more and more heat by that state being achieved is created, and we keep adding the energy to maintain that added state.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah,
you were
no.
right. The Amish thing is the best
The
solution.
best solution you could do is just stop, right? Like what did Sarah Baker calls herself a stoptivist,
A
which is like
stocktivist. That's
right,
great.
which is pretty great. You know,
Yes.
like
She's
just
awesome.
stop, just stop. Yeah.
And if you want to get really fancy, you can organize globally, if like that would ever happen, and use the remaining energy on the surface to create the environment that would work for that, what you're
Yeah, yeah,
saying,
yeah.
out of earth and materials, and put the really dense stuff back underground,
Or
where
or
it
just
came
or
from.
just let it decay. At the very least, even if you can't, because it might actually take energy to put it back underground, right?
Yeah, and I don't know which is worse or better. I'd say that that would be like a lot of heads thinking on that and calculating. I didn't do all the math for that, but yeah,
Right.
that's
Like, I mean,
supercomputer
at
stuff.
the very least, just let it decay right where it stands. Just leave it, just leave
That's
it,
better than
and
keep
let it
on
and let
going.
it and
Yeah.
let it go back into the earth. However long it takes, but just stop fixing it. Stop. Stop keeping up the infrastructure. Don't. Well, first of all, we got to stop building more infrastructure. That's the ridiculousness. Is like, we're in a climate crisis. We're destroying the planet, and people are like, "How about a new highway? How about some more
Right.
lanes? How about, you know what I mean? It's just like always the plans for building more stuff are just are always there. It's just like just stop it. You know what I mean? We have enough housing for the homeless. We don't need new housing. We have enough cars, and we have enough roads, and we have enough of everything. Seriously, we have enough material in the material world for everybody to just kind of recycle what we've already built and have, and continue. We could continue on for hundreds of years on, just the amount of bicycles that are on the planet Earth, right? We could just keep on like repairing the bicycles forever because we have
humans. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just am agreeing. If humans work together, 8 billion humans working together could do some wondrous things. Yeah.
But we have to actually know what we're working on, and few people really even understand.
That is
what's the true like path or whatever, the better path.
Well, I have evolved on something along that with Elon Musk, like his revelations on his own vaccination errors, and some of his comments on climate. I have a particular grist to grind with folks that are on the top like that. You think, are they evil? No, I think you were right. I think they're so cushioned, they just don't look past what's the technical solution to this.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You have new callers. I'm really excited to hear your new callers.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We'll take this call from Steve. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. I actually found you via call-in just a handful of weeks ago, and I just wanted to say to you and everybody that participates in this conversation, both on call-in and YouTube, amazing thoughts, good people. I always feel alone. Feel alone when, trying to talk to these about these issues with people because they just don't want to see the big picture. So
yeah,
it's refreshing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a hard. I mean, that's I don't think there's anything. It's weird because I feel sometimes in talking about this stuff like somehow I'm being, mean or something, and I'm just like, no, I'm actually just understanding. I'm just trying to really look at reality. Whatever and it seems weird to say like, well, my reality, the way I see reality is more real than how other people see reality. That's a weird thing to say, but I'm really trying to confront reality head on and not escape it or avoid it, and I don't think there's anything inherently like, mean in that. In fact, I think that it's actually more freeing. It's like, acknowledging that there's an issue in your life or maybe in a relationship that you have with somebody, acknowledging that issue can be really freeing instead of just avoiding it, right? Avoiding the issue can actually be almost a prison, and can be very lonely, right? So
yeah, and I think it leaves us unprepared and doesn't give a full picture, especially I'm speaking specifically of kind of like left political spaces.
Yeah.
And the fact that this issue is absent in every single discussion I see, like no one's talking about, fossil fuel depletion. Climate change gets mentioned, but no one talks about the inherent contradictions in unsustainability of the industrial system.
Oh,
and
yeah,
we're incapable of like visioning what a future beyond looks like. And we get trapped in trying to find gimmicks and quick fixes to keep it going for a little longer.
Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. I think, yeah, it's so hard to talk to people about this, and it's so hard to get people to actually like, get an understanding, like a real understanding of it, because it actually involves. Acknowledging, it involves acknowledging like the frailty of your existence on this plane, and so that's not a nice thing for people to understand or to actually really get in touch with, it's funny because the way that the left and the right talk about climate change is almost identical. You know, right? The right disparagingly talks about climate change, but if they mention climate change, it's like, oh, just like climate change, and then they move right on. They just move right past the subject, like they don't really like engage with it. And the left is the same. They're like, yeah, climate change, it's pretty bad. This is what I hear, and then they but anyways, they move on to the next subject. I'm like, did you want to spend a little time actually going into that? Nobody really wants to talk about it. Like nobody wants to talk about it.
No, and 2 points that I did want to make. One was you mentioned the heat dome over British Columbia, and I'm pretty confident. I don't know the exact science of it. I don't know if anybody's written anything recently, but I highly suspect that, given time and attention, that they might find a correlation between aerosol masking, the reduction in aerosol masking due to COVID lockdowns, and
the heat
being
dome
ahead of schedule, as you mentioned on something.
I mean, it's possible. I talked a lot about that during COVID. I talked a lot about. I was personally like, is this because of aerosol masking, or is this just the trend line we were already on?
I see.
That's just my. It could be both, right? Like, could be. Well, we're already on a uptrend of warming. And so this is just the next high level, higher level of heat that we're about to experience. And maybe aerosol masking or lack thereof, just kind of kicked it in, kicked it up a little more. I don't know.
I'd agree with that. I think most people that look honestly at the issue say that, even the IPCC, I think, stopped using the 1.5 target because they realized that it's not within the realm of possibility.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, they've given up. They're like, nope, that we're definitely going to hit that. And then I wonder how long it's going to take them to go like, well, yeah, we're probably going to be at 2C, or we are, we'll be at 2C by 2035 or something.
Right.
Or earlier.
And the other point I wanted to make real quickly, because you seem to try and stick to a 1-hour schedule. I want to honor your time. But somebody had mentioned overshoot. It's one of the things I struggle trying to communicate to people in left political spaces, where I generally, where most of my social interactions are. And that's the carrying capacity of the planet, and how not only have we simultaneously propped it up with industrial infrastructure, pesticides, fertilizers, expansion of land through colonialism, and occupation and extraction of resources. But at the same time, we've degraded those landscapes. So we've artificially propped up a population while simultaneously undermining and destroying the original or pre-industrial carrying capacity of the earth. And so now there's a huge gap between what population landscapes can support for humans and non-humans alike, and what's dependent on these complex industrial supply chains and production processes. And that, just to me, is probably one of the most immediate crises ahead of us, is dealing with the fact that the industrial food system is dependent on unstable, due to geopolitics or climate disasters or whatever. This system is really precarious, and I don't think enough people appreciate that they sustain their organism by consuming other organisms, and
right.
the flow of those organisms for us to consume is dependent on a system that's on shaky ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just I think people are really into the idea that any issues with supply chain or inflation or lack of supplies or lack of food in store, or all those things are really somehow intentionally manufactured, and listen, I think that a lot of it is intentionally manufactured, but there is the part about climate change is in there somewhere too. and that part about climate change is going to get bigger, is going to become a bigger part of that equation. Whereas, well, yeah, there's a lack of food. I've been wondering about all these like food distribution, warehouse fires and all that kind of stuff. Okay, it looks hinky, on the surface, and I can't really do anything but look at it and go like, all right, there's something going on there that looks a little strange. But also, well, if the planet is warmer and there's actually just right, if we have kind of like a state of drought going on, mega drought, or there's not snow where there should be snow, and there's all kinds of things, right? I mean, doesn't that allow for the conditions in which these fires can start and or go crazy? I think that the warmth is a factor in there, right? The increased warmth or increased drought or whatever it is, or lack of the usual weather that people in areas are used to or accustomed to, are also adding to the conditions in which these fires and or whatever can be, can happen. And I just think it's part of the equation. I'm not saying that's, all these food distribution fires are because of climate change. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm gonna get going since you're at the hour, and
all
I'll
right.
try and call back in sometime in the future. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, I just, again, it's in there. It is in there somewhere, and the reduction in the ability to grow food due to extreme weather events is something that's kind of ticking up ever so slowly, ticking up, right? And I'm not saying it's the only reason that people are experiencing inflation. I'm not saying it's the only reason that we're experiencing supply chain issues or a reduction in the availability of certain goods and services. I'm not saying that it's all because of climate change. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's in the equation. It's probably a little bit of a part of it, but eventually, it's going to become a bigger part. And I don't know. I don't know why I need to say that twice, but I just did. All right. I think that does it for me, guys. That was a good conversation. As often happens, I have several things I want to talk about, and we end up kind of just addressing one subject, but that's all right. That's all right. That's what we're here to do. We're here to just kind of converse, knock around some ideas, join together in a fellow understanding of what is going on the planet, all that kind of good stuff. But anyways, I'll maybe talk about some more stuff or different stuff with on the Extra Bullet channel tonight. So, yes, the hours, they go very quickly. An hour is actually just a very short amount of time. But unfortunately, I don't have time to do really longer shows. I wish I did. I'm amazed by people that do like 3-hour shows every day. I'm like, how do you do that? I can't even. Yeah, I would spend most of my day preparing for a show that long and then recovering from doing a show that long, and I just I'm doing other things in my day. So an hour is what we got. All right, guys, I'll see you. I'll either see you later tonight on the Extra Bullet channel, or I will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And thank you all for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. And I will see you next time. Peace.